Hey everybody, kind of an inside day today. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and I thought they suggested that it might make a good idea for a video. It's been a day or two since I've done one. It's about tape measures, some advice I got a long time ago. This is Tony, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out. Tony Sandoval, Handyman Services, Omaha, Nebraska. Anyway, talking about tools, talking about, what we're using and all that. These are hand tools, but when it comes to a tape measure, there's two pieces of advice I learned a long time ago that makes things a lot better in the long run about using tape measures. And I don't know, you may already know this, you may not, but I thought I'd give you the benefit of the doubt. You want to start and just when you want to find out if you've got make sure you got a good tape measure, because not all tape measures are made to measure properly. Okay, so like here, we've got this little Stanley 16 footer. Okay, now if you use a square, okay, and it can be like this here, this is an Irwin. Now, I always like to use one, make sure that's got the measurements etched into the metal. Okay, or here, this is a Johnson, I believe. Okay, don't mind the marker on the edge here, but always make sure you use one. I prefer to use a square that's got it etched in, because typically speaking, when they go to the point of etching in the markings, they're going to make darn sure those are precise before they go to the etching them in there, because that sets them up for a lot of trouble later. So, I mean, get a decent brand, and make sure that, it's, like I said, I like to make sure that it's etched in, because I find they tend to be the most accurate, and, just plain painted on the metal doesn't always seem to be accurate. Okay, but then you get, you pick yourself up a tape measure, and you want to go two ways you want to test it. You want to test it pulling back, and make sure that it lines up like that. See how it lines perfectly on there? So we know that by pulling this way and using the inside of the hook, we have an accurate 1-inch measurement. Lines perfectly, okay? And then if we flip this over, see now, you got the inside marking, and by pushing against it, you can see that it lines up again from the outside. So we got a perfect 1 inch on the outside, like that, and then perfect 1 inch from the inside, pushing against, okay? That gives you an idea that your tape measure is a good tape measure, okay? And it doesn't matter, so like you've got this square, it's a solid one, piece square. Then you got like this one, it's the same thing. You just want to make sure on this one, on a tri-square, you got to make sure when you get right up on it that you're on that line, okay? If you're off on this, where this lines up on that 4-inch mark, if you're too far in or too far this away, even the littlest bit, it's going to show you an off marking, okay? So a lot of times it's better to use a solid, one-piece thing like this where it's molded together, because that measurement here to here, and where it notches here, that's going to be more accurate for certain. It ain't going to move on you. You have to kind of know how to lock these in right. But either way, the same effect, okay? You go in here and you grab on. Now here it's kind of, because I've got the thing, but you can kind of see here. Not very well. Okay. You get the idea though. Oop, dropping things all over the place now. Okay. I've got an old, this Craftsman tape measure. It's a 25-foot tape measure. I picked this up back in 1987. 1987, this tape measure. Okay, when I picked it up, let's get the other one back here. And the same thing. Line that up. I'm not doing it very well. Y'all are getting the idea though, right? You want to line them up. There we go. Try and get it to be about as even as possible, but where you can yet see the line. There we go, dead on. See that? 1 and 2 inch marks, line right up on the outside, pulling in. And then as we go for the push test, try that again. We can see that that lines up pretty much dead on. Okay? And that's what you want in a tape measure. You want it, that's Pete, by the way. Say hi, Pete. So this is how you know you get a good tape measure. When it can match up against here. There's tape measures out there. You'll check it against a square, and you'll find that the painted on markings aren't always accurate. Okay? Now, the second piece of advice that I got a long time ago was when you start measuring a project, stay with that same tape measure. Okay, so if I'm measuring out against a wall and I use this tape measure to get my measurement, when I go to measure the piece I'm cutting, I'm using this tape measure. Okay? That's ideal. That is the best in my mind. If I can't, because I have to use a different tool or something, and it just can't use this measure, you know, the original tape measure I got the original measurement from. If I'm using that, then try to make sure it's a tape measure that matches, that's been checked against, you know what I'm saying? So like this one and that Craftsman, now they've both been checked against and they measure up perfect. I have no problem saying, okay, I use this one out in the field, and then I use the Craftsman at say my saw. And now my saw, I'm going to use the Craftsman. I trust that because it's the same as this one, as the Stanley. Okay, I've measured them both. I know they both measure right. So, and they're giving me the same measurement. I might, you know, go here and then walk over to a tool, and the marking on the tool itself, a tape that's over by that tool, if it's not mine, if it's not one I haven't double checked yet, I mean, somebody else's tape, whatever, there could be variances. There could be differences from one to the next. So I always want to make sure that if I can use the same tape to make both measurements, I want to use the exact same tape. If I can't use the exact same tape, I want to use another tape that has also been measured and matches up to the tape I started with. Okay, that's best in my best practice. I mean, way I was taught way long time ago, like what, I was 14, 15 years old. You know, reinforced throughout the years by different people. So, 2 pieces of tape advice were check it against a square. Check every tape measure you buy against a good square. Make sure that the numbers line up on both sides, so on the push and the pull, and then try to stick with the same tape measure when you're going from measuring, you know, from here to here. And then if I'm going to cut the wood, I'm using the same tape because I want to try and keep the measurement as accurate as possible along the measuring markings, you know. That's pretty much the basics here. I know you didn't get to see my ugly mug, but then that's probably better off for the camera and everybody else. Say bye, Pete. There's Pete. He's taking a nap already. He's bored. Y'all have a good day. And next time we'll try to do a video that a little bit more action going on. See y'all later.